Stuart Brisgel and David Solomon. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. You think about it, we rant about it. Listen to us live on Facebook.
Well, it's another noon. I got David sitting right below me, and I got a Mr. Sam Beard sitting to our side. You know, David, Mr. Beard has got a resume so long and that needs to be said so accurately. I think I'm going to hand most of this broadcast over to you because, you know, Sam Beard is a friend, a dear friend of my cousin's, and I just don't want to offend my cousin. I'm scared of him. So, Rupert, just so you
Shout out,
know,
Rupert. You're the
you know,
only one who could scare him, Rupert. Good
yeah,
job.
yeah. All right. So, I'd like to let David. Would you do the introductions of Mr. Beard?
Absolutely. We had a great time talking to Sam, who insists on we calling him Sam, last week. And we were talking about raising children at 0 to 5 prime age group. And this conversation was fantastic. And we really believed we needed to share this with everybody out there. And we're thankful for him to join us. But who is Sam Beard? I mean, if you look him up, his Wikipedia page is minimalist. But what he's impacted is immeasurable. We're talking about a gentleman who, since the assassination of Senator Kennedy, has been involved. It's been 50 years of public service. I mean, he started with Senator Kennedy, and I mean, 50 years of public service. It's absolutely fantastic. And he's worked with the Kennedy administration to create a Nobel Prize for public service. He has worked with 8 presidents, folks. 8 different presidents, and it didn't matter on which side of the aisle they were, Republican or Democrat. He worked with them all, straight pretty much from Nixon all the way to Bush Jr. And briefly, because he doesn't want me to elaborate more than this, since 2017, he has shifted his attention, and this is really the topic of today's conversation, is really taking early childhood development globally. Folks, in our conversation, we realized how we're just doing the wrong thing with our children, 0 to 5. And Sam has extraordinary insight into this. So, Sam, before we get into this, tell us more about yourself and your involvement and how you really did get involved in this area.
Well, first, I love being here with you and Stuart. And I view you as technology, heart, substance, joy, and a lot of chatter. So it's just a privilege to be here. And thank you for the kind introduction. And then I have sort of a different view. All the stuff I've done, I just follow my intuition, and I'm joyous. I do think big, and I'm passionate, and then I'm very persistent. And so I'm no big deal. In school, I was a hardworking C+ average, and here I am. That's just sort of the way I am. now, I'll tell you that when asked, what about you sort of special? Optimism for sure, persistence. And then with the Jackie Kennedy and then Senator Robert Taft Jr., we did in 1972 create the Jess Awards, which is now Multiplying Good. And the original goal was to create a Nobel Prize for public service. And we started that. Then we ended up impacting over 1 million kids across the country. And with the kids, we were teaching about leadership and service. And it all boiled down to, what do we want children to do? And the answer, or anybody to do, which is think big, have the attitude, yes, I can, and then get started. Most people want to create a plan that is so complicated they never get started. So create a simple plan and get started, and that's it. That's my life. Think big, the attitude, yes, I can, create a simple plan, get started, and here I am.
That's incredible. And we'd love to hear that. So let's dive into the conversation, because really this is where so much of our attention, both Stuart and I, are parents. Our children are no longer 0 to 5. But when we reflect based on our conversation, I reflected and I went, ooh, wow, I wonder how I was with my children when they were at that age group. But what are we talking about, Sam? What are the challenges? What did you find that really we need to bring to the public's attention?
Well, the thing that just struck me in 2017, if someone says go see somebody, I always do. And I was in San Francisco, and it says go see George Halverson. Well, George Halverson is a world giant in science and healthcare. And it was very simple. What he told me, just went into my mind, and I can't get it out. And it has now become the largest project in my life that we and our teams are undertaking. And here's the point. It's all, the brain science has been known, but the policy is way behind it. So it's a simple statement. The baby's born, and they now know that billions of synapses are connecting, 1 million a second. And by the third birthday, number 3, the baby needs to have been spoken to, sung to, and read to 30 million words. And what's happening is they know now that the neurological passage of the brain of a child is being 70 to 80% set by the third birthday. And for the most part, after that, you can't catch up. Now, that word cognitive capacity is too fancy for me. But what does that mean? Your cognitive capacity is your ability to succeed in school. It's your ability to process information and make sense out of it and communicate. So I use my hands this way. If you spread them as wide as you can, you're supposed to do 30 million words. And if you do less, the experts will tell, the scientists will tell you pretty much at the third birthday, if you do this much, they know that 60% you're going to drop out of high school at the third birthday. And for the most part, you can't catch up. Now, once you hear that and you just think about it, it's pretty incredible. So let's talk about the three of us. We've all been parents, and anybody who's listening who's been a parent. So many things you don't know. And in my family, I wanted to do so much with my kids. I rolled around with them, and I was always energy and did everything. And then here's what I did wrong. If you're supposed to speak to, sing to, and read to 30 million words by the third birthday, I thought it was spectacular while I was preparing dinner to dump the kids in front of Disney. And the answer is no. You should have them right in the room with you, and you should say, I'm going to the refrigerator. I've opened it up. Oh my gosh, I dropped an egg. What a mess. I picked it up. And talk to them all the time. And the point is, you can't just do it with words. It has to be a trusted person, like the father, the mother, or the caregiver, or an aunt, or somebody, because every child wants to be loved and lovable. And you stick them in front of a TV, that's not it.
Nope.
If you have a tape recorder with a whole bunch of words on it, that's not it. But so they want to sit in your lap, they want to sit next to you. If you're talking, they're talking, et cetera, et cetera. And that whole thing about speak to, sing to, and read to 30 million words by the third birthday is life-changing. And most of us don't know that all the time you should talk to your child. And that there's a likelihood that grandfathers are here. So that's what you should do. That's what everybody should do. Now,
Sam, Sam, you say 30 million words. If I'm sorry, I just, it sounds enormous, but it's not 30 million individual words. We're talking about just talk to the child, right?
Correct. Well, look, just the two of you are talk machines. You are absolutely delightful. So 30 million words is absolutely nothing with your podcast. So
Sam, listen, I can talk as fast as anyone, but I remember my late mother always used to tell me, don't go goo goo gaga, talk to your kid. I mean, this concept has existed for generations. You have to talk to a kid. You got to entertain a kid. What I think parents today have is forgotten that the iPhone, iPad, and television, which was our generation, today it's the iPhone and iPad, isn't replacing, what you as a parent, a caregiver need to do with these young children. And I think that many parents are starting too late. People are dropping their kids off at daycares and, leaving them in front of nannies or leaving them at home with people that may not even communicate in the language that they need to be communicated in. But I mean, you have this program, Gift Connect. Let's talk about this. Rupert produced that video for you that I saw, which started this whole dialogue between you, David, and myself. I mean, you have a lifetime of giving and teaching, right? Gift Connect is something that you're now giving to everyone. Again, trying to explain to parents and educators and caregivers around the world what is believed to be the most important part of educating a baby, right?
All right, so let me pick it up from there, and let me just tell you one other thing. It's called serve and return. So this is just another thing I did wrong. I did all sorts of energy, and when the baby's brand new born, it's not bad to just go like this and wiggle your fingers or go goo-goo. But when you're really talking, you should talk and pronunciate clearly and talk clearly. But the point about serve and return is I did it wrong. I was all energy. I was constantly serve, 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 and serve. And here, Beatrice Beebe is one of the very top breakthrough scientists at Columbia University. And here's her point. Here's a brand new baby. And if you go like this, just for a few seconds, stop. Because the baby wants to be loved. The baby's saying, I want to be loved. So the baby is going to do this and come back. And then if you say a word, the baby's going to try to say that word. And that's serve and return. And it's so important because the frontal executive function of your brain is being developed at the earliest of ages. And that's just important. Now, there's another part of serve and return, which is, let's say you're reading to the baby. That's two things. You're reading to the baby, the baby starts sucking on the book. Now, you're thinking, I want this baby to be a genius, so I'm going to slap the baby. Stop that sucking on the book. You're going to be a genius. And the answer is, if you slap or scold the baby is going to say, I don't like reading because when we're reading, I'm getting punished. So that's exactly the wrong thing to do. Now, then you're reading and the baby leaves and starts crawling across the floor. What the top experts know is that baby is now serving. The baby, so babies are so curious and fascinated about things. If they see something, they start crawling across the floor, don't yank them back, follow them. Encourage their creativity, encourage their imagination. So they're serving and then you return. So it's all these things. These are just two simple things that I was never told. Now, let me start to answer some of your questions, Stuart. The first lesson is what everybody should know. And we're talking about that. And also, it's not just speak to, sing to, and read to. First, this really starts at conception. When that baby is in the womb, if you talk to the baby and read to the baby and sing to the baby and play music, they now know that that baby is being developed right there in the womb. And if you talk from conception right until birth, that's very important also. Also, just the physical health of the mother is important. Now, obviously, at any age or at any economic level, if you're into drugs and heavy drinking and heavy smoking, that's not good for the baby. And your physical health is important for the baby. Now the baby's born, and it's more than just speak to, sing to, read to. And it depends. The sexual abuse, physical abuse, the abuse of poverty, where the baby's just abandoned. These are very important things. In the first 4 years of life, psychologists now know that here's the baby, wants to be loved and lovable, and things happen. And it goes into your conscious mind, it gets programmed in your subconscious. And then from then on, if something goes bad, the baby feels, I'm not loved. I'm not lovable. The baby takes the blame for that. And then that diminishes their self-confidence. So all these things are important. So it's more than just the seek to, read to, but I just raised that out.
Sam, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. And then it's worse in poverty. In poverty homes, there's more likely to be more trauma, more stress, more difficulty. It might be a single family home. To make ends meet, the mother has to, or the father has to have 2 to 3 jobs. They're not there. And what does the child do if you just leave the child because you're all the time? That's not good for the child. One of the bad parts about the United States is, when you talk about sort of the big picture, we spend less than $500 per child in 0 to 5. And that's your cognitive capacity and also your self-esteem. And by the time you get to kindergarten, so many negative things have happened. So if we're only spending less than $500, now they get into school, we're spending $10,000 to $12,000 per kid. But so much of this stuff is set before you get into kindergarten.
Right.
And we got to address
Sam,
that.
but the thing is that, and you know, I see a lot of challenges in today's day and age. I mean, if you're talking about a family, you have working parents, so time is not on, and you know, we see that maternity leave in the United States, you know, in Canada you can get 52 weeks. In the United States, we're talking what, 12 weeks, six weeks, you know. So the system doesn't really help a family in need, you know, working parents or working parent. There's, you know, you said like there's daycare, there is their grandpa, but it's not the parent that's involved. And the parent comes home after a long day of work and then has to deal with the child. It's enough to feed and bathe and everything. Now I have to do, like, it sounds almost like a monumental task. So what are parents supposed to do?
Right. That's why we've made it such an effort and a movement across the United States and even around the world. So let's just take the issue in the United States about child daycare, early education centers. Now, an affluent family, they're able to pay a handsome price for a quality daycare where people really care. Now, in poverty in the United States, a family has to have a job to make ends meet, tremendous stress, and they don't have any extra money to do that daycare. And in so many states, early childhood development daycare, we're paying those quote professionals less than a dishwasher. And this is our treasure. The thing across America, we're taking 1/3 of our children and just throwing them in a wastebasket.
You know,
and you get. Let me make this one point, and then come in to Stuart. That now people start measuring when our children get out of high school, are they workforce ready? Now, what that means is, they've missed 0 to 5. So many of them. If you miss 0 to 5, you don't have the cognitive capacity. You don't do well in school. Now, then you don't do well in school. Now you get through all the school, and you're supposed to be ready for our workforce and make it competitive. 1/3 of our children are not ready for anything more than a menial job. Congratulations, America.
Yep.
Sam, and we're 19th worst in literacy around the world, and 30th worst in so many other measures.
Sam, we listen, I live in Florida. I hear this on a regular basis. It's an ongoing, it's not just a political fight. It's a spectrum on who, and everyone wants to convolute issues with CRT and other things that are so politically charged. But let's just take a step back, remove one thing out of this conversation, which is politics, right? Because children should not be, you know, the political pawn of anyone. But we got someone who's listening to this and has a quick question. How do you feel about digital content and young children? I mean, today you put your kid in front of a digital content on an iPad, an iPhone, a television, a computer screen, you know.
But the question
you as a parent aren't really sitting with the child, but you're putting it in front of it. Is there any benefit to doing these sorts of behaviors?
And add to that, Sam, and let's add to that, because it's a good friend. Lisa, thank you so much for your question. The question then is, should a parent be sitting with the child, or someone be sitting with the child and interacting? Is there a
Well, I'll be pretty clear. The answer is it's worse than a flat line. It's negative. And the whole point about the child wants to be loved and lovable, keep the child with yourself and talk to the child while you're doing whatever you're doing. Just say, I'm now going across the room. I'm just crossing the living room. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick up the newspaper. Dad made a terrible mess. He always comes in and he throws his stuff on the floor, and I've got to pick it up. Whatever you do, tell the child that. But that's what I tried to say earlier. which is I was 100% wrong. When I was making the meal or doing ever, I would stick the child in front of, and that was before all the digital stuff you have. The digital stuff, the child has to be connected to a trusted, live father, mother, caregiver, aunt, uncle, somebody that's central in that child's life. Digital is negative.
But if a parent, let's take one of those individuals, those key folks, would sit with the child and say, "Hey, look at that. Hey, what do you think of that? Isn't that beautiful? Those colors." Is that not helpful?
That's 100% helpful. Oh, I see. Well, look, okay, this is a great point. Now, Rupert, who you mentioned, what he's saying is that so many families now have these young kids, and they're the little devices with all sorts of amazing things on it. So if the kid is just sitting there with the amazing things on a machine, no good. But now, if you're there, if you visualize the machine taking the place of a book, you're sitting there, and the child loves the machine, and you're there, and you're saying, "Look at that wonderful red color. Look at this wonderful bear. Look at this amazing cat. Look at that. Look at the cow that jumped over the moon." Whatever. Then that I agree with that. But the issue is the trusted adult holding and sitting with the baby, and then yes, in that sense, this device with films or videos, it's like a more 21st century today book.
Sam, with this Connect program, where are you in deploying this? Like, to have an initiative, first of all, takes a lot of vision, and you've been seeing a lot of things for many years. You've got a couple of years on David and myself, and being able to communicate with a president puts you in a very unique and elite part of the world, because most people can't say that. So now you have this Gift Connect program. Where are you at on deploying it? Where are the same political hacks? Are they hacks, or are they sincere? Are they helping you get it out? Are the governments, coming in?
I'm a great believer in the private sector and government and having public-private partnerships. And I look at it this way: in the private sector, there are an awful lot of hacks. In government, they're fair hacks. People don't talk that way. But so the question is, so many people in corporations and private sector care deeply about these things, and so many people in government care deeply about these things. So you want to align yourself with people who care about these things. And let me make the point about the country today. The country is more divided, and it's more negative, and the media is really substantially in question as to what they're reporting. And it's the worst I've ever seen. And it's a great threat to the values of America. And I'm not going to take any sides on that. I'm just reporting that. This issue about 0 to 5 and early childhood development has nothing to do with that division. All of us care about the children. All of us care about our future. And so it's an opportunity to I don't care, right, left, red, blue. I don't care. This is an opportunity for everybody to get behind something. And what I've done with the 8 presidents, it's always nonpartisan.
Sam, let me jump in. We have your good friend Rupert Hitzik, who just got the link, who sort of come in and is seeing us now. Hi, Rupert. Just want to say hello. You can say hi to Sam. There you go.
Hi, Sam. How are you doing?
Hello, Mr. Rupert. This is great. We're having a lot of fun with Stuart and David. And
well, I just realized I could get this stream. I didn't know it. I'm on my. I'm sitting here reading the New York Times. I said, I wonder what's happening with Stuart and Sam.
Well, the amazing thing about you, Rupert, is you're a guiding light. Since I've known you for over 70 years, and it just happens that there's a strong light behind you, which means that once again you're a guiding light.
That's my reading light. All right, Stuart. I hope you have fun with Sam. He's a wonderful human being.
Thank you, Rupert. We're going to take you off the air, but thanks.
And
for
I've never met your
in.
partner, so hello, I forgot David.
David,
it's nice to meet you,
Hi,
Rupert.
David. Nice to
I've
meet
heard a
you.
lot
Finally.
about. I've heard a lot about you, despite what Stuart has said.
All right, Rupert. We're going to take you out. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
All right. Sorry about that, Sam. That was fun bringing Rupert in. I think.
Sam, I guess in conclusion here for today, I guess the real question now becomes is You know, what do we do here now in North America? What can people do today until the governments change their financing policies? And by the way, just so I can supplement, Quebec put into place a $7 a day daycare to help daycare funding be cheaper for people to go and send their child. And I'm not sure that has solved the problem, but I am not an expert in this case, because what we're hearing in daycares is there are 10 children in a room. It's hard to connect with kids. It's hard to be that kind of caregiver, as you called it. So what is to be done? What
All right,
is
well,
the
let me say what we're doing. There are 30 developed nations that are spending $10,000, $12,000 a year, 0 to 5, because they understand the science. This is not just somebody's opinion versus another person's opinion. The brain science is very rare that everybody so agrees on one thing. All the scientists, neurological and your brain science agree on this, the importance of 0 to 5. Once you understand that, if you don't respond from a political and policy viewpoint, you're losing ground big time. So 30 nations are spending $10,000 to $12,000 a year per child, or developed countries around the world, and we're spending less than $500. And then it shows at the fourth grade level in the United States, 66% of our children are not at the reading level in the fourth grade.
Yeah.
In kindergarten, where you miss 0 to 5, in kindergarten, they get into school, and states report that 52% of the kids are reading ready and education ready. That means 48% are not.
But so Sam, in a nutshell, the public school system isn't exactly catching up or catching those kids, because all they're doing is testing in the United States. And as we all know, to get a test and not teach doesn't help the kids either. So again, you are trying to get across to parents around the world, hey, you got a baby, you got to be involved. You get involved, that kid has a better than 50% chance on being a successful part of life, right? That's
All
what
right,
basically the
let me pick up
concept.
Stuart, let me pick up what you're saying. First, what I'm saying is, as a nation, we need to understand the importance of 0 to 5. And if you miss the cognitive capacity, if you haven't done all the speak to, sing to, and read to, and if you're traumatized, you get into school, the school can't work. And so I know so many school teachers are so passionate, and then the turnover in our schools of 1 out of 3 turn over every 3 years, because so many disruptive kids are in the school, and that's all 0 to 5. Now then you get to a whole different thing, which is you miss 0 to 5, the 1.2 million children a year drop out of high school, and they end up 80%. If you drop out of high school, you end up connected with the penal system, in and out, and each one's likely to cost the country $1 million. A tremendous amount of waste not to care about 0 to 5. And then if you drop out of high school and you connect in the penal system, the statistic shows that those kids are creating about 75% of the crime. So as a nation, what are we doing? We're going to go all across the country, and we're going to get people at a local level excited about this, talk to their top elected officials, and we're going to change that over a 10-year period from $500 to $10,000 a year, and we're going to reduce this. And we're also taking that around the world. We're already operating in Africa in about 16 countries on our path to impact of 5 to 10 million people in the 5 to 10 years.
Sam, all right, I've just put up on the screen the Gift Connect website. I urge everyone to take a look. There's some great interactive videos that go into further detail as to what the Gift Connect program is, why it's so important. In fact, the one video that I saw first, which was Rupert's, it just the first few seconds, you get it. And I think that's a big problem on the message, is that a lot of people get lost in politics instead of getting lost in the concept that the children are the most important resource to any country. And as we're wrapping a double session, almost to a half hour, David, I'd like to tee it over to you to close. And again, Sam, I thank you for meeting you. I thank Rupert for introducing you. And I hope everyone that's listening or watching appreciates that Mr. Beard has done something that I don't know anyone else that can come close to. So, Mr. Beard, I'm going to say thank you for being a servant to our country and everyone else that you've touched. Thank you. David, to you.
Sam, do you have any final words before I thank you? I guess
Look,
that's
my final word is thank you. This has been a great privilege, and I hope that people who listen to this soak it in. And whatever age you are, if you're a grandfather, go do this stuff with your grandchildren.
And you know what, Sam, just checking out the feedback and I just seeing that people would love to have you come back again. So we should have another catch up in a few months and tell us when you have something significant. Want you to come back and share this with everybody. Really, Sam, we want to wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much for this. And I guess the real message is, folks, 0 to 5. That's where it's got to be. If you have a child, niece, nephew, grandchild, whatever, need to get much more involved in that child's life.
And
if you care about the future of this country, if we don't focus on 0 to 5, we cannot reverse poverty, we cannot improve our schools, and we're going to lose our leadership position in the world. Very simple.
And please, again, I urge everyone, check out www.giftconnect.org for Mr. Beard's site and further details on the Gift Connect program. David, it's that time.
Thank you. We're going to wish all our listeners a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again, Sam.
Thank you very much.